They laughed when they saw him again, just standing there, outside the dojo window. His hands in his coat pockets, his shoulders hunched slightly like the cold had settled into his bones. "Sensei Trash Fu is back," someone whispered. A ripple of laughter followed. Inside, 20 clean white uniforms moved across the polished floor like synchronized waves. The buzz of energy, the claps, the sharp shouts, all of it lived behind glass. And just outside, he stood still as stone, watching. He was a black man in a faded army jacket. Probably late 40s, maybe older. His hair was wild, his beard trimmed just enough to look like someone who cared once. His eyes never moved away from the class. He didn't smile. He didn't flinch. "Creepy," muttered one of the teenage boys, stretching his legs in front of the mirror. "Why's he always staring like that?" But Leo, the smallest kid in the class, barely 10 years old, glanced at the window, then quietly reached into his gym bag. He walked to the back door and slipped outside. The cold hit instantly, and Leo held out a wrapped peanut butter sandwich. "My mom always packs two. You want one?" The man turned. Slowly. His face looked tired, but not broken. He studied the boy's hand, then his face. "Thank you," he said softly. His voice didn't match his appearance. It was calm, gentle, like someone who used to teach. He took the sandwich with both hands and gave a small bow. "What are you doing, Leo?" a sharp voice yelled from the back door. Travis, 17, arms crossed. "You feeding stray dogs now?" Leo frowned. He was just hungry. "Yeah? Maybe he can do kung fu with his garbage cans." Travis laughed. Sensei of trash style. The other teens joined in, their laughter loud, echoing through the dojo. The man didn't respond. He didn't even blink. But as Travis slammed the door shut, something in the man's stance shifted. His back straightened. His fingers moved slightly. Not like someone offended, like someone trained. And watching from a distance, the dojo owner noticed. He didn't laugh. He didn't speak. But he definitely noticed. "Hi, my name is Malik. If you believe stories like this need to be heard, please hit like and subscribe right now. Your support helps us shine a light on real injustice." The next morning, the parking lot behind the dojo was quiet. Frost clung to the edges of the dumpsters, and steam curled up from sewer grates as the sun slowly crept across the cracked pavement. Behind the building, that same man sat cross-legged on a flattened piece of cardboard, sorting aluminum cans into separate bags like he was doing inventory for a business. Each movement was slow but purposeful. He didn't rush. He never did. His fingers, wrapped in calluses, worked with the rhythm of someone who had done this before. Not just collecting, something else. Something more disciplined. Tucked beside him was a small weathered backpack. A water bottle, a worn-out paperback with dog-eared pages. A first aid kit. On top of it all, a plastic-covered photo. He pulled the photo out briefly and stared at it. A black woman, smiling wide, arms around a younger version of himself. His jaw clenched slightly before he tucked it back in. Through the window, he could hear them again counting in unison. 1, 2, 3, he didn't move. He just closed his eyes and listened. Inside, the dojo was alive with motion. Teens sparred under the bright lights, their movements sharp and aggressive. Travis, the same boy who mocked him yesterday, was front and center, his kicks fast, his pride faster. At the corner of the mat, Mr. Harland, the dojo's owner, watched closely, correcting postures with quiet authority. But every few minutes, his eyes flicked toward the side window. He could see the man, sitting calmly in the back, knees folded, eyes closed. Like he belonged there. Like he wasn't bothered by the cold, or the whispers, or the insults. Leo, the young boy, noticed too. During a break, he slipped over to his instructor. "Sensei, is he really homeless?" Harlan didn't answer right away. He followed Leo's gaze to the window. "I don't know," he said finally. "But I don't think that's all he is." Outside, Elliot, the man, opened his eyes slowly. One of the older girls inside, Caitlin, had stumbled during a complicated kata. Her footwork was off. Elliot tilted his head slightly. Then, without thinking, he moved his foot in the exact shape hers should have made. His hands mirrored the motion she missed. She looked up and caught him doing it. He froze. But instead of turning away, she mimicked him. Adjusted her feet. Tried again. Perfect. She smiled. She didn't say anything, but she waved. Inside, Harlan saw the entire thing. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. but he walked to the window and watched as the man gently nodded back at the girl. Later that day, after the class ended, Harlan opened the back door of the dojo and stepped outside. He carried 2 bottles of water. "You're welcome to sit inside if you'd prefer," he said. The man looked up, stood slowly, and nodded once. "Thank you. I'm James Harlan. I own the place." "Elliot," the man replied. "Elliot Ray." There was a long silence between them. Then Harlan spoke again. "You've trained." Elliot didn't deny it. He just said a long time ago. By the next week, whispers had turned into gossip. Parents began talking in parking lots. Students whispered between water breaks. "That guy's still hanging around?" one father said, pulling his son into the car. "What's the dojo turning into? A shelter?" Jennifer, Leo's mother, overheard the comment. She didn't say anything, but she looked toward the window. Elliot was there again, sitting quietly near the back fence, reading his paperback like nothing around him mattered. But inside, something was changing. Caitlin now nodded to him every time she saw him through the glass. A few of the younger kids started mimicking his movements for fun. Even Leo had started practicing alone outside, hoping Elliot would correct him again. And someone noticed. Travis. He stood near the lockers, showing a group of teens something on his phone. "Watch this," he snorted. On the screen was a shaky video of Elliot behind the dumpster, holding his sandwich, staring through the window. The caption read, "Master of Trash Fu, Dojo Stalker." Laughter followed. "Man, that's messed up," Miguel said, one of the older students. "That guy's not bothering anyone." Travis shrugged. "He wants to be seen? Let him go viral." The video spread fast. Within hours it was posted in the local high school group chat. Then Reddit. Then TikTok. Outside, Elliot sat on the same curb as always, reading the same book. He didn't react. Didn't even glance at the passing phones aimed in his direction. That same night, Leo stepped outside after class and approached him. "I saw the video. I'm sorry they're making fun of you." Elliot gave a tired smile. "They're kids. Kids test limits. What matters is how you respond when you're tested." Leo handed him a small paper bag. Inside, an apple, a protein bar, and a note written in pencil. "Thank you, Sensei." Elliot stared at the word for a long time, then folded the paper and put it in his pocket like it was something sacred. From the doorway, Mr. Harlan saw everything. And that word stuck in his mind too. Sensei. The next day, Harlan walked up to Elliot with a printed flyer in his hand. "Open mat days this Saturday. No formal class, just open floor. Anyone can try something." Elliot looked at the flyer. "You're inviting me?" "Anyone can come," Harlan said simply. Elliot hesitated, his eyes scanning the flyer. "They're not ready to see someone like me on that mat." "They weren't ready to see you outside it either," Harlan said. "That didn't stop you." Elliot folded the paper slowly and tucked it into his book. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no either. If you're still watching, drop a comment below. What would you do in this situation? And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that matter. Saturday came faster than anyone expected. The dojo buzzed with nervous energy. Parents filled the benches earlier than usual, their eyes drifting to the mat and then to the door. Word had already spread. People had heard. The man from the video. The one behind the dumpster. He was coming inside. Travis stood near the lockers, cracking his knuckles. "I bet he chickens out," he smirked. "Or falls flat on his face." Harlan kept his face calm, but his eyes flicked toward the entrance every few minutes. Then it happened. The door creaked open. Elliot stepped inside. He was still wearing his old jeans, his worn jacket. No belt, no uniform. Just quiet steps and tired eyes. Conversations hushed. Kids froze mid-kick. A few parents whispered, "What's he doing here?" One muttered. Another added, "He's not even in uniform." Why would Harlan let him in? Elliot stayed near the wall, not moving toward the mat. Travis grinned. "Yo, Sensei Trash Fu," he called out loud enough for everyone to hear. "Wanna show us your legendary can-kicking style?" Snickers followed. Even a couple of adults laughed. But before Harlan could speak, Leo ran forward and stood between Travis and Elliot. "Leave him alone," he shouted. "He helped Caitlin. He helped all of us." Travis scoffed. "Relax, superhero. He's not hurting anyone," Leo said, his fists clenched. The room went quiet. Harlan stepped in. "That's enough." Then he turned to Elliot. Would you mind showing us a kata? Just a form. No sparring. The pause hung in the air. Everyone was watching. Elliot scanned the faces around him. Judgment. Curiosity. Doubt. Then his eyes landed on Leo. That one face showed no doubt at all. Just belief. Elliot nodded once. He stepped out of his shoes slowly, placing them neatly at the edge of the mat. Then, in his socks, he walked into the center of the floor. At first, a few people chuckled. Then he began. Every movement was precise. His body moved with a rhythm that was sharp, fluid, and unshakable. Every block, every strike, every turn flowed like water, no wasted motion. Even Travis stopped smiling. The longer Elliot moved, the more silent the room became. His stance. His breathing. The power in his control, it was undeniable. He ended the kata with a thunderous strike that echoed through the wooden floor. Then stood still. No one spoke. Then, slowly, Leo began to clap. One by one, others joined. The sound filled the dojo. Harlan stepped forward. That was Goju Shiho, one of the most advanced katas in traditional karate. Most people here won't learn it for years. Some never will. The parents were stunned. A few whispered, "Where did he learn that? Who is he really?" Travis just stared, his arms slack by his side. Elliot bowed once, then walked back to his shoes, slipped them on, and headed quietly for the door. Travis called out behind him, "You're leaving." Elliot turned his head slightly, then smiled, calm, quiet, real? A good martial artist knows when to walk away. And he did. By Monday, the dojo felt different. Some students walked taller. Others talked about kata like it was something magical again. But in the corners of the parent chat groups, things were heating up. He used to be a champion? So what? One parent wrote, "Is Harlan seriously letting a homeless man teach our kids?" Another added, "Did you see that old video?" A third replied, attaching a clip. The video showed Elliot, years younger, in a tournament, his body fast, focused, lethal. It ended with a brutal scene, a competitor writhing on the floor, his arm clearly broken. Then, freeze frame. Loop. No sound. No context. Mark Wilson, Travis's father, had sent it out personally. "He's dangerous," Mark said to Harlan after class. "Disqualified for violence. You're putting our kids at risk." Harlan stayed calm. He was cleared of misconduct. That fight was reviewed. "You know how tournaments work." But the perception, James, Mark hissed. "People are talking. Sponsors are pulling out. You're risking your reputation for some ex-fighter who sleeps behind your building." Across the room, Travis overheard everything. He didn't speak, but his face wasn't as certain as his father's. Outside, Elliot sat on the back curb again, quietly sorting through a stack of broken boards. He didn't say a word when Harlan joined him. "They tagged the front door," Harlan said, holding up his phone. On the screen, graffiti sprayed across the dojo's entryway in red paint. "Bums don't belong here." Elliot didn't react. "I'm sorry," Harlan added. "You don't need to be," Elliot said. "This is what happens when people feel threatened by something they don't understand." "I still want you to teach," Harlan said. "The fundraiser this weekend, you're part of it." "I shouldn't be," Elliot replied calmly. "You've already lost enough just by letting me in the building." "You didn't cause that graffiti," Harlan pushed back. "You inspired half this dojo. Kids are practicing harder because of you. Parents may not like it, but the students see the truth." Elliot stared out at the parking lot. "They won't stop. Not until I'm gone." Harlan looked at him for a long moment, then said quietly, "And if you walk away now, they win." But Elliot had already made up his mind. That night, he folded his blanket one last time, packed his bag, left the sandwich Leo had brought him untouched. Before leaving, he placed a handwritten note on the cot in the back room. "Thank you for believing in me. Some debts can't be repaid. I won't bring more trouble to your door." Then he stepped into the night, alone again. When Harlan arrived the next morning, the room was empty. Just the note on the pillow and silence. Outside, rain started to fall. And for the first time in weeks, the dojo felt hollow. The week dragged on without Elliot. Leo kept looking at the back corner during warm-ups, hoping he'd reappear. He never did. Caitlin stopped practicing her advanced forms. Even Travis seemed quieter. He no longer joked near the lockers. But the tension in the dojo thickened. Parents whispered more openly now. Some threatened to pull their kids. One even wrote a letter demanding Harlan step down. "You're protecting a homeless man over our children," it read. You brought danger into a safe space. He has a past. He should have stayed outside where he belongs. Harlan didn't reply, but that night, after everyone left, he sat in his office scrolling through old files, tournament archives, registration forms, news clippings. He found what he was looking for. A name. Elliot Ray, 3-time national karate champion. Former U.S. Marine. Bronze medalist, Pan American Games. The article was dated 15 years ago, before everything changed, before his disappearance, before homelessness, before the accident. Harlan stared at the photo attached. A younger Elliot standing on a podium, medals around his neck, eyes full of pride. He picked up the phone, called a friend in the regional martial arts board. "I need help tracking someone down," Harlan said. But it wasn't just him. Unbeknownst to Harlan, Leo had taken action too. With his mom's help, he posted a TikTok video stitched together from footage of Elliot's kata performance and the kindness he'd shown. "This man is more than what people say. He helped me believe I could be better. He's my sensei." The video went viral. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of views. Comments poured in. "He moved like a warrior. Where is he now? Why would anyone mock this man? I served with Elliot Ray. He saved lives." One comment stood out. "That man trained me in the Corps. I'd follow him into fire." By morning, major martial arts pages had picked up the story. Even a news anchor posted the clip, calling it "From Homeless to Hero, the Man Who Silenced a Dojo." Back at the dojo, Harlan was flooded with calls. Offers. Apologies. Even from parents who'd once criticized him. But still, no one could find Elliot. Until one cold evening, a black SUV pulled up behind the dojo. A tall black man in uniform stepped out, medals shining on his chest. He walked into Harlan's office and placed a folded note on the desk. "I think you're looking for my old friend," he said. "I served with Elliot. He saved my life. We thought he was gone until we saw that video." Harlan opened the note. It simply read, "I'll come back if I'm still welcome." Harlan looked up, eyes burning. "He's not just welcome," he said. "He's needed." 2 days later, the door to the dojo opened just after sunset. No fanfare. No crowd. Just a quiet man stepping across the threshold like it had never been closed to him. Elliot stood still for a moment, letting the warmth soak into his skin. The buzz of practice filled the air. The smell of sweat, mats, and discipline. Then a voice called out, "Sensei." Leo rushed across the floor, nearly tripping in his socks. Behind him, Caitlin grinned wide. Even Travis looked up, uncertain but not mocking. Elliot nodded gently. "Good to see you, Leo." From the corner, Harlan approached, holding a clean white GI with a folded black belt resting on top. "I don't know if you'll accept this," he said quietly, "but you've earned it more than most." Elliot took it in both hands. His eyes lingered on the belt. "Thank you," he said, voice low. That weekend, the dojo held its annual open demo for the community. A chance for students to showcase progress. Usually, it was a quiet affair. This time, the building was packed. News crews were outside. Marines stood near the back wall. Kids from other schools showed up just to watch. As the crowd settled, Harlan stepped forward. "Before we begin," he said into the mic, "there's someone here who reminds us that strength isn't just in fists. It's in dignity, in patience, in surviving what others wouldn't." He turned to the side. "Elliot Ray, would you join us?" Elliot stepped onto the mat in his clean GI. No shoes. No fear. He bowed, then performed. Not just a kata. A story. Through motion, he told what he couldn't with words. The loss. The silence. The rejection. The return. Every strike landed like thunder. Every breath echoed louder than applause. When he finished, there was silence. Then a standing ovation. Later, a journalist asked Leo why Elliot mattered so much. The boy smiled. Because he didn't fight back with hate. He fought by showing us who he really is. That's real strength. Outside, Travis approached Elliot near the curb. "I wanted to say sorry," he mumbled, eyes down. Elliot placed a hand on his shoulder. "Just be better tomorrow. That's all anyone can do." That night, as the dojo lights dimmed, Harlan sat beside Elliot near the curb. "I looked you up, you know," Harlan said. "You were a legend." Elliot smiled faintly. "I was a man trying to live right. That's all." Harlan chuckled. "Still are." Elliot looked out at the dark street, the sounds of the city returning to normal. "I'm not done yet," he said quietly. Not by a long shot. And under the dim glow of the street lamp, a man once mocked as trash sat upright, no longer in the shadows, but in his rightful place. Respected, reclaimed, and finally home. If you believe in second chances and breaking barriers, share this story. To viewers in the USA, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. Together, we can change the world.